17 Nigerian soldiers that were killed by armed group at Okuama community in the Ughelli local government area of Delta State have been buried at military cemetery in Abuja, the Nigerian state capital, with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu conferring national honors on them posthumously and gave educational scholarship to the bereaved children and the slain soldiers awaiting babies. President Tinubu also said houses will be built for the family of the deceased soldiers anywhere of their choice within the country. It would be recalled that the soldiers were murdered by armed group at Okuama community on March 14, 2024 when the men in uniform were said to be on a peace mission to address land dispute crisis between Okuama and Okoloba communities in the state. The 4 slain officers were awarded the honor of members of the Order of the Niger, Monday, while 13 slain soldiers were honored with officers of the Federal Republic medals. According to President Bola Tinubu, who personally attended the burial ceremony at the military cemetery on Wednesday afternoon, each of the men now belongs to the hallowed list of servicemen and women who defended our country and protected their fellow Nigerians, not minding the risks to their own lives. They have all been awarded now a posthumous national honor. 4 gallant officers have been accorded the award of members of the Order of Niger, Monday. The 13 courageous soldiers who also lost their lives have been awarded the officers of the Federal Republic medals. It is now our duty to protect the families of our departed heroes. The federal government will provide housing in any part of our country to each of the families of the 4 officers and 13 soldiers that were among them. The federal government has also approved scholarships to all children of the deceased up to university level, including those who are in the womb. The military will appeal to you to within the next 90 days to ensure that all benefits of the departed are paid, Tinubu stated in quote. At the ceremony, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, said that the 17 troops of the Nigerian Army who were killed in Delta State on March 14, 2024, left 10 widows, among which were 3 pregnant women as well as 21 orphans. Lieutenant General Lagbaja added that the 3 women were 4, 5 and 8 months pregnant respectively. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Okuama killing has added to the care of the Nigerian Army and, by extension, the Nigerian State 10 widows, 3 of whom are 4, 5, and 8 months pregnant, 21 orphans, and many other dependents which include parents. While commiserating with the families of these gallant soldiers, I assure them that the Nigerian Army and the good people of this country will not leave them in the cold. We shall do all within our power to provide succor to them and preserve the memories of their departed loved ones, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant Lagbaja stated in quote. In pursuit of the suspected members of the armed group behind the soldiers' killings, troops of the Nigerian military in 5 trucks and flying drones, on Tuesday, reportedly raided the Kegbodo country home of the South-South leader and former Federal Commissioner for Information, Chief Edwin Clark. According to the statement issued by the 97-year-old one of the most eldest statesmen currently in Nigeria, Edwin Clark, who is also the leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, the armed soldiers, numbering between 30 and 40, stormed his home on Saturday, March 23, 2024, and used their legs to break open all the doors in the compound, including the security door to his sitting room, which was locked because he resides in Abuja. Since the mass killing of the soldiers, there have been reports of the military raiding and combing Delta communities as well as the neighboring Bayelsa state in search for the killer of the soldiers. The Delta State Governor, Sheriff Obarebori, had warned monarchs in the state against protecting or giving cover to the killers. Edwin Clark, in the statement he personally signed and made available to journalists on Tuesday, called for a commission of inquiry into the killings of the 17 officers and soldiers of the 181 Amphibious Battalion. At about 6 p.m. on Saturday, the 23rd of March 2024, I got a telephone call from someone who identified himself as the commanding officer of the Nigerian Army Division in Port Harcourt. He said that a tracker of the Nigerian Army had tracked one Mr. Vote, the community chairman of Okuama community, whom the army was looking for in respect of the killings of the 17 men of the Nigerian army, to a house in Ughelli, and that the military men had broken into the house, ransacked it, before they were informed that the house belongs to me, that he was very sorry and apologizing to me on behalf of the army. In my usual way and as a leader, who is expected to condone as much as possible, I accepted his apology wholeheartedly but told him that I do not own a house in Ughelli, that the house he is referring to could be my father's. I went on to sympathize with the Nigerian army over the gruesome murder of the soldiers, an action I had condemned severally the moment I heard of it in the news. I assured him that we would all work within our powers to avail the security agencies with any available information that would unravel the whole thing and bring the perpetrators to book. We ended the discussion on a cordial note. It was not long after that I was inundated with calls from my home, Kyabodo, telling me how the army had invaded my country home by land and by air. I was told that they came in about 5 trucks loaded with armed soldiers, numbering between 30 and 40. Those in my house used their legs to break open all the doors in the compound, including the security door to my sitting room, which was locked because I reside in Abuja, at the same time flying their drone within the premises. Some of them went to the buildings behind the main house and also broke all the doors that were locked. They marched out my staff living in those buildings, including lecturers at the university, and made them sit on bare ground. They also broke into my late brother, Ambassador Apollo Blessing Clark's house, a man who served this country internationally in various capacities, including as Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations and permanent secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as both of us share the same premises. They brought out his son almost naked, as the young man was taking a bath when they stormed the house. All their phones were seized. The people had to identify themselves, and told them whose house it was before they asked for my telephone number, which they said they would pass to their Oga before they all departed. One would have expected that at this juncture, a call could have been put to the governor of Delta State, to inform him of what happened. I immediately called back the commanding officer to tell him of the actions of his men. And he said he was aware and that was why he called to apologize. Before continuing, let me play the devil's advocate by stating that the army may not know that the house they went to in Kyabodo is my country home. But I feel very uncomfortable concluding this recent incident with such a theory, when I recall how men of the tactical squad of the Nigeria Police, attached to the office of the Inspector General of Police, on the 4th of September 2018, at about 12 noon, stormed my house in Abuja in a busload, fully armed. They came with a search warrant from a magistrate's court in Abuja, bearing Mrs. Helen Clark, but with the address of my house on it, that they had come to search the house, that they had information that arms from the Niger Delta were being stockpiled there. I identified myself and told them that there was no one named Helen Clark living with me in the house. I spoke with the then Deputy Inspector General of Police Operations, but they insisted on carrying out their search. With a very clear conscience, I allowed them to go ahead with their mission. They took their time to search every space in the compound, including my bedroom, but found nothing incriminating. Edwin Clark's statement reads in quote,
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.